Okay, Jeff, this is Seward, your neighbor. This is a presentation for you to get you thinking. Maybe you could cooperate, or maybe you want to go along with it. But anyway, I want to let you know what's happening with the drainage. What you're looking at here is between my other two houses, okay? Your house is over there on the other side. 2 years ago, I had to excavate everything out of here. And I had to take sifted sand and pack it up against that foundation right there. I had to slope. I can send you video. I've got all kinds of video on it. But what I did is I stopped the water from migrating up against that foundation, which it did with every rainstorm. This foundation is compliant as far as its elevation. This foundation, the builder intentionally lowered 3 inches. So all the water that falls in that 12 feet from there to there migrated up against there. What I did is I had to bring in sand that I took out of my yard and sifted. I packed it down with a packer. I've covered it. If you look over here, you're going to see plastic and tar paper. This whole expanse that you're looking at here, this whole expanse you're looking at is covered with plastic and tar paper and rock. And it has a sculpted drain right down the middle. I went right to the middle of both houses and I sculpted a drain. When I banked up this house, it banked down to a center drain. Now all the water that comes off any of these roofs, and I put up, as you can see, gutters. All right, this house was built out of compliance. It's out of code. Its sewer pipes are out of code. It sits in the middle of a shallow pond or a shallow saucer of land. Well, what I had to do is I had to regrade everything. Right here, we used to get a lake, right in here. And I'm going to show you where you're getting that lake with your house. But right in here, I'd get a lake. Right out here where the cement is, they put a berm across my property that was higher than the patio. And your property is the same way. If I get it ground level right now, I'm scanning at your property. If it's ground level, I guarantee you if we scrape that top rock off, there's going to be a 2.5, 3 inch change from that bush out there in the middle of your yard where it runs down to your patio. But all this, first of all, I had to come in and take out that berm. That's berm that kept the water trapped in my house. I had to take it out. And it cost me $3,000 to have 100 yards of dirt taken out of these yards. We didn't touch your yard. Your yard is the same way as it was. And where that plant is in the middle of your yard, all the way from that plant, all the way over to where you see that pot sitting there, that terracotta or that painted pot, there was a sandbar across all 3 of these lots that kept all the water off the golf course. I fixed it. Right there you're looking at in front of that patio, I've got about 10 feet of 6 mil plastic covered with tar paper again. Because that patio is 3 inches low and the property line is about 1 foot high, the geometry for drainage has been destroyed. So that's why I've got a condom all around my house. This is all covered with plastic tar paper. I had to put a 4 inch drain there that runs down to a dry well down there. But you don't see any weeds or anything because of the plastic. Now, if you look right here, my neighbor's yard at that white stake is about 1 foot higher and traveling uphill to the ditch from that last plant right there. You can see it. Everything's running uphill. On paper, it isn't supposed to do that. Well, anyway, I want to show you this. This whole area is covered with 2 layers of 6 mil plastic and tar paper. This whole area. And I've got a drain right there. Where we used to get the puddle started and it ended. Every time it rained, the puddle started there. In a few minutes, I'd have a lake. Because we got 75 feet of my neighbor's yard, or my neighbor's roof, dumping water into here. And I've got a berm. We used to have a berm across here. And my neighbor's lot, everything runs back to this spot, ground zero. That's where the drain is. All right, all that work took me 2 years. Cost me $7,000, $8,000. But that's why you don't see any weeds there. It's all been sculpted. Again, I sculpted it again. Before I put down the plastic, I put in the drain. Now the lot drains, but it can only drain down to here, down to the plants, because the golf course is out of compliance. Now, if you're still with me on that little spiel I give you about the history of the lot, what I've had to do to drown-proof it. We're back here. I'm going to start down here at the property line. First of all, that line of rocks right there up to that steel post, that's your property line. I put those rocks in there. A guy at work at the airport wanted to get rid of a whole bunch of rocks. And I had enough rock from him. I brought it home a box at a time. He'd bring in a box of rocks every night for about 2 weeks. And I had a line of rocks all the way from here, all the way down to the end of the plants. That line of rocks right here, where I'm standing, where this pole is our property. This is our property boundary between our two properties. This plant right here is about 1 foot high. Over there at the end, it's about 1 foot high. When the operating engineers came out here to grade this 2 years before they ever started building a house, it was understood that these lots up here are not going to drain onto the golf course. All right, those lots are responsible for their own drainage. We're not taking any water from them lots up there onto our golf course. And once you understand that, that's what you bought. That was the title you bought. When I sold you the house, I didn't know that was the tribal knowledge out here. Tribal knowledge is a big saying out here. But anyway, I'm digressing. That's your house. Where that plant is right there, is higher than your patio. Everything runs back to your patio. When it rains hard, everything comes off your eave down in front of your house and forms a lake. And you have a low spot right there. Right in front of that air conditioning unit is one huge low spot. And when the water starts raining really hard, and we get like a deluge where we get a half an hour storm where it's coming down at 1.5 inches an hour for about a half an hour, you come out and you got a huge lake right there. Landlocked lake. That water's going nowhere. It isn't being detained to be released someplace else. It's there for good, to stay. You're going to have you have a lake in front of there. You don't anymore. Ever since I regraded this and made a path for the water out of your lot, now the lake doesn't get that big. It only gets high enough to get over here and in front of your house only gets high enough until it gets over here where I've done the grading work, and then it out to the golf course. I just got done, and I'll send you a video. I just got done. Well, this one isn't done yet. And the reason I haven't started this is I want response from you. Right now, we could, if you hire somebody or you come out here for a couple days, we scrape back all that rock in front of your patio. We sculpt it so it drops from far to here. We integrate that little protection area in front of your patio. We protect it with plastic, and we harvest the rock. We sift it. We take the sand. We put the sand back down. We put plastic over the sand. We put tar paper over the plastic, and then we put the rock over. And we have everything sculpted and graded to run to this point right here. Right there. That's the start of my drain going out to the golf course. Now, if you agree to this, we can put all plastic. When I start doing this, shaping this, I can shape it with you in mind, or we could do it together. I'll take any input you want to put into it. But I'm going to start putting plastic and tar paper to here to finish the job. And since I'm doing it, if you had a laborer, somebody that could dig rock and scrape rock, we could fix this. Of course, you have to get permission from the HOA. I didn't get permission from the HOA. I haven't changed anything in the look. And that's another thing, when the HOA, if they give you any hassle, you're going to say, when we're done, it's going to look exactly like it did before we started. So we haven't changed the appearance at all. All we've done is now we've got a dedicated drain to get the water from in front of my house and from this lake over here over to this spot where it can drain onto the golf course. I'm offering that to you. I feel like I've got an education in hydraulic engineering after living here and having to correct, but that's the plastic, all right? There's the tar paper there. I've got about 50 feet here that I just did. It took me about 2 weeks. But all this rock I'm walking on has been harvested and gone through a sifter and laid back down. You see that right there? This is all reworked. That's a brand new channel I made to get the water out from between our houses. Now, what I did here didn't affect you at all because your house is higher than my house. Everything from your house right there is graded over to here. What I've done is I've made a trench 5 feet away from my house where the water, when it gets 5 feet from my house, it goes into a channel to the street. All right, making it better for you. It doesn't sit here anymore like it did before. Now, what I'm offering to you, when I start this work right here, removing this and doing exactly what I did back there, that you or somebody else, this is an opportunity for you to fix this. This is an opportunity for you to fix, because I've got a camera ready to go just like this all the time. The next big storm where you've got a 4-foot lake in front of that house, I'm going to take pictures of it. And when you've got a lake about 1 inch or 2 deep right there, I'm going to send you video of it. Now, we have an opportunity to fix that. And really, the HOA shouldn't say anything because we're going to return it to what it looks exactly. We spend a week. I come out here with a camera after a week, all you're going to see is fresh rock there that's been sifted, fresh rock there that's been sifted, and nothing else is going to change except what's underneath it. Underneath it's going to be a channel coming right to here off to the golf course. But anyway, Jeff, I hope you're having a good time back there in Minnesota. I like you. You're young. You're smart. Please consider this video.